with this huge BlackBerry and iPhone epidemic that is on campus, I really wanted students to be able to utilize them to their full potential. And communication is huge. Like, students should be safe on campus and be able to communicate. So in terms of what students are really intrigued with and what they bite on, it's going to have to be the cell phone issue, because a lot of students don't care about the environment. A lot of students don't care about other things that may not affect them. But I think that universally affects Western students in general and improve the university experience in a small way.
So I'm going to build on that.
Yeah.
I really liked your idea about the cell phone reception in the UCC. Now, where'd you get it from?
The cell phone reception in the UCC, we decided to implement after meeting with a couple students, and a lot of people have problems with the reception in the UCC. So I met with Paul Tomlinson and brought it by him, and then we crafted a motion earlier in the year where I wanted to bring it forth to council, but I wanted to actually use the bus pass money as well for it, but ended up I just wanted to wait for a little bit because council wanted to do it properly and it wouldn't have been done in time for elections. So why not just grasp it and make sure that next year we budget for it in the Q2 review in September when they actually allocate money towards specific platform points. So after Paul said it would be a great idea and it's not too expensive, he's a senior manager in case you guys don't know him, but he thought it was a great idea and they're not too expensive either. They're probably $1,000 to $3,000 and they make a huge difference to students. So yeah.
What's your primary concern with the USC right now in terms of governance?
In terms of governance, can I say communication? I guess I'd say communication is the biggest thing that the USC has to face every year. As we know, hype wasn't very effective over the past couple of years, and this year we've changed it, and it's now this new USC soft team, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of it. But every single year, it's difficult for the USC to communicate, and this is where my vision comes into play. And I want to make sure that faculty councils and clubs are actually empowered this year, and through that, it could be something as simple as promoting our grants, so that they realize they have the support of the USC and they're not working against them. So in the past, for example, with my experiences, I've realized it's hard to make moves, and students either grasp this and move forward with it, or they get jaded and they step out of politics. And I grasped it, and I really want to make sure that next year the clubs and the faculty councils feel important and that the USC promotes things to them and doesn't compete with them with events, and make sure that gets done this year. So communication.
Forgione, I got to say, you have a very strong platform point regarding the USC internship grant program. So how do you feel, or how do you plan to take that model used in the Social Science Council and adapt it to the current structure of the USC?
I've thought a lot about it, and it was difficult for me to implement it this year because last year the way we did it was very different. We had to take into account income tax and these things that we didn't last year. We just called it an internship grant, but you can't call it that. We realized, legally, for example. So currently on the Social Science Student Council, it's called the Summer Experience Reward Program, and we had to word it around. But I want to make sure that it's open to all Western students is the first place to start. Right now, it's only for social science main campus full-time students, and right now, currently, we have to make sure that when the budget is reviewed, we make room for it. That's a big problem because in social science, we have the student donation. And the student donation works very differently than our student fee that the USC takes from students. So we have to make sure that on the USC, we have the budget for it. Whereas in social science, all I did was meet with the UW admin and say, I want this done. And he said, great. But this time we have to make sure that we have it in the finances budget or the President's Initiative budget, and that will be in September when we reallocate specific areas. So yeah.
So there's a rumor going around.
Oh no.
That you've spent a third of your budget on hiring a camera crew for your video. No. How do you justify spending student dollars on a professional crew when there are a number of students with the same equipment and the same skill set?
We didn't hire anyone for the video. It's one of my really good friends who came to campus and filmed it for us. Literally, it took him 3 days to finish everything, but then I was really picky, so it took us 3 weeks to make sure it tailored to all Western students. But we didn't hire a full camera crew. It was one guy. He was a really good friend of mine. He's got a really cool camera, and that was it. He's a student, so when I was supporting students with it. Yeah, I don't know where that rumor came from.
It's elections. I guess rumors are always spreading. Well, speaking about elections, every year there's one trend that dominates presidential platforms. Last year was the USC website. 2 years ago were renovations. And this year, the trend seems to be about mental health. So how will you know when you've achieved your mental health platform points?
That's a really good question, Brandon. I'm going to be able to realize that I've achieved the mental health awareness on our campus when we have less of a waiting line, for example. Right now, I think there's around 70 students waiting, and it's based on whoever needs it the most. And I think that's great, but a lot of students need it equally. And it's really hard to decide, he needs to be counseled more than the other individual. So when individuals know what resources they have to use and to go to, and the waiting line is decreased, I think that's when I'll realize. And also when it's more of a supported service. Right now, it was just implemented this year, essentially, based on all the speeches we had last year. And I really want to make sure that after next year, it's more of a recognized USC support service. So I really want to make sure that that's a priority in our platform.
All right, this question's for good luck.
Okay.
All right. What did you have to do to get Cheyenne in your video? He's like the biggest campus celebrity right now. What did you have to do to get him in there?
I just had to offer him the Kanye West part. In the Barbra Streisand video, there's a Kanye West scene, and I was like, Cheyenne, do you want to be that guy? He's like, for sure. And that was it. We decorated the chair. He came over with the sungees on, and it was fantastic. It worked out for the best.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us,
problem,
and good
guys.
luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
Take care.